Step back to Cleveland in the 1930s, a city of steel and steam caught in the crushing grip of the Great Depression. This was America's sixth city, a titan of industry, its skyline dominated by the gleam of the new terminal tower. But on the streets below, the dream was dying. The roar of factories had been replaced by a deafening silence. By 1933, unemployment had reached a staggering 30%, and the faces of Cleveland were etched with desperation. Soup kitchens stretched for blocks, a stark testament to a city on its knees. From the working-class flats lighting the polluted Cayuga River to the immigrant enclaves of Slavic Village, the struggle was universal. Families huddled together in cramped apartments, their resilience tested daily. Yet, Cleveland endured. This was a city built on grit, and its people refused to be broken. New Deal projects like the massive municipal stadium offered not just jobs, but a fragile flicker of hope, a beacon against the encroaching darkness. But beneath this surface of stoic survival, a different kind of shadow was creeping through the city's forgotten corners. As poverty deepened, crime became a constant companion. The police force, hobbled by budget cuts, fought a losing battle to maintain order. And while Prohibition was over, the criminal underworld it had spawned was more entrenched than ever. In this atmosphere of fear and uncertainty, where flickering street lamps cast long, menacing shadows, Cleveland was about to become the hunting ground for a predator unlike it had ever known. The stage was set for a nightmare. It began not with a scream, but with a smell. On September 23, 1935, near a desolate stretch of track in an industrial ravine known as Kingsbury Run, two boys stumbled upon a horrifying discovery. At first, they saw only a pale, naked form lying in the weeds. But as they drew closer, the true horror revealed itself. It was the body of a man, expertly decapitated and drained of all blood. A short distance away lay another corpse, treated with the same chilling precision. The killer had left no clues, no witnesses, only a grisly tableau of butchery. This was just the beginning. The discoveries started to form a pattern, each one more gruesome than the last. A woman's torso wrapped in newspaper. A man's dismembered remains packed into burlap sacks. Body parts fished from the Cuyahoga River, or found in the shadow of a downtown bridge. The killer, dubbed the Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run by the press, was not just a murderer, he was an anatomist. The cuts were clean, precise, suggesting a deep knowledge of human anatomy. The work of a surgeon, a butcher, or something far worse. He moved like a phantom through the city's underbelly, selecting his victims from the most vulnerable, and vanishing back into the shadows. To understand the terror, one must understand the victims. They were the forgotten souls of the Depression, the invisible men and women living on the fringes of society. They were drifters, prostitutes, and laborers with no families to report them missing, no one to mourn their passing. They lived in the sprawling makeshift shantytowns of Kingsbury Run, a grim landscape of poverty and despair. For the killer, these victims were perfect. They were ghosts long before he found them, their anonymity his greatest shield. Of the 13 official victims, only a few were ever identified. There was Edward Andrassy, a low-level numbers runner with ties to the criminal underworld, and Florence Polillo, a barmaid and part-time prostitute. The others remained nameless, their identities lost to time, their final moments known only to their killer. This was the true horror of the butcher's reign. He preyed on those society had already discarded, erasing them so completely that they almost ceased to have existed at all. The city was haunted, not just by the murders, but by the silence that followed, the silence of lives unremembered. The investigation fell to one of the most famous lawmen in American history, Eliot Ness. Fresh from his legendary crusade against Al Capone in Chicago, Ness had been appointed Cleveland's public safety director, a white knight charged with cleaning up a corrupt city. The torso murders were to be his ultimate test. But the Phantom of Kingsbury Run was a different kind of enemy, elusive, intelligent, and utterly ruthless. The investigation became a desperate and frustrating hunt. Ness poured every available resource into the case. Detectives canvassed the grim shantytowns, but the transient residents were suspicious of the police and offered little help. The killer's methods were forensically flawless. He left no fingerprints, no fibers, no clues of any kind. He seemed to mock the authorities, at one point placing a victim's torso in plain view of Ness's office window in City Hall. As the body count rose, public pressure mounted. The newspapers, with their sensational headlines and grisly photographs, fanned the flames of panic. Eliot Ness, the untouchable hero, was failing. In a desperate and controversial move, he ordered his men to raid Kingsbury Run and burn the shantytowns to the ground, an act that displaced hundreds but did nothing to stop the killer. As the official investigation stalled, theories swirled. Was the killer a disgruntled medical professional, a transient slaughterhouse worker, or something else entirely? One name, however, consistently rose to the surface: Dr. Francis Sweeney. A brilliant but deeply troubled surgeon who had served in a medical unit during World War I, Sweeney possessed the surgical skills necessary for the dismemberments. He was also an alcoholic, prone to violent outbursts, and his family had connections to a powerful local politician, which may have shielded him from scrutiny.
Eliot Ness became convinced that Sweeney was his man. He personally interrogated the doctor for days, subjecting him to a polygraph test, which Sweeney failed. The doctor, a large and intimidating man, reportedly taunted Ness during the interrogations, his intellect a match for the famed lawman's. Yet, despite his strong suspicions, Ness lacked the hard evidence to secure a conviction. He couldn't place Sweeney at any of the crime scenes. With no path to a legal victory, Ness watched as his prime suspect voluntarily committed himself to a veterans hospital, where he remained for the rest of his life. From inside the institution, Sweeney would send taunting, cryptic postcards to Ness, further cementing the lawman's belief in his guilt. The murders stopped the moment Sweeney was confined. The summer of 1938 marked the last official murder attributed to the butcher, but the nightmare he created never truly ended. For decades, the specter of the torso murders has haunted Cleveland, becoming a permanent part of the city's folklore. The case left deep scars on the collective psyche, a chilling reminder of a time when a monster walked the streets, preying on the city's most helpless citizens. The failure to capture the killer became Eliot Ness's great shame, a shadow that followed him until his death. Today, Kingsbury Run is no longer a place of shanties and despair, but its name will forever be synonymous with one of America's most gruesome and confounding unsolved mysteries. The story of the Mad Butcher endures, passed down through generations, in books, documentaries, and whispered tales. It is a legacy of fear, a story that forced Cleveland to confront the darkness that lurks within its own forgotten corners, and a chilling testament to the fact that some questions are never answered, and some ghosts are never laid to rest.